Welcome everybody to my channel. Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning in wherever you are in the world. Where I am right now, it's about 2:30 a.m. October 27th, 2023. My name is Simon Hill. I'm a Black American from Louisiana, filming this video right now in Budapest, Hungary. I've been grinding all day, but I still wanted to get in this live right now to chop it up with y'all about the situation that's been going on in this crazy world that we live in, especially if you come from the US. This is going to be a very special episode for you. Sort of going back to my roots, sort of going back to how I started making content on YouTube. And that's by talking about very important issues. You see what's on the screen right here? We're talking about celebrating the life, the legacy of one of America's greatest poets, Roderick Davis. Yes, Gucci Mane LaFleur. Burr. Burr. We're here to celebrate Gucci Mane, the one, the only, the king of Zone 6. Yes, a legendary MC coming out of Atlanta. We're going to celebrate Gucci Mane tonight. Going to celebrate Gucci Mane tonight. Put some respect on his name. I'm going to keep it real with you. Coming up in Louisiana, when I was about, I don't know, 15, 16, Gucci Mane was like one of them dudes. Mixtapes banging. Mixtapes were banging. Mixtapes were banging out the back of the trunk. Heard it all through the hood. Possibly one of my favorite Gucci Mane songs is off of that tape he did with Drama, the movie one. I forgot the name exactly, but he has a song on there called You Know What It Is with Young Jock. And his verse comes on so hard. He says, I'm infatuated, intrigued, in need of weed. My need for speed got me buying Lamborghinis. My taste in fashion got my body covered in G's. My taste in trapping got me selling kilos and peas. Oh, just gets me going. I love it. I love it. Gucci Mane, hard, hard. Great artist, great rapper. But before we dive deep, deep, deep into what we're here to talk about today, you know what it is really. I want to read a poem. We're going to read some poetry, possibly the greatest verse from one of America's preeminent poets, Gucci Mane LaFleur. And this is a verse from a song titled Still Remember. He released it with Pooh Shiesty. And this verse is so hard and it's so pertinent for what we're going to talk about today. So I'm just going to read this little poetry. Then we're going to build real heavy, real heavy. So Gucci Mane said, I had to laugh. It kept me from crying. Said it was all good, but I was lying. Stood on my 10. I did my time. I done seen all these niggas switch sides. I know what's up with these guys. They hate in disguise. Dick riding's at an all-time high. Just by the watches I buy, the juice that I fly, like I'm up, like I'm stuck in the sky. I came up robbing, starving, Sun Valley apartments, caught the Martell with my pennies, handle my business. I swear that I hustle relentless, bipolar from all of the killings. Dope I was whipping. Mom tried to whip me. She gave me a 50 for Christmas. For Christmas, I flipped it. Still can't forget it. Wearing my brother's clothes couldn't fit it. We still got evicted. Coat was raggedy. It was embarrassing. It was impairing. I'm blaming my parents. Rode on the Mac leans before the McLaren. The hammer staring all down. Maine, a terrorist. Did it myself. Ain't no blemish on my rep. You come see for yourself. Watch where you step. Mumbling under your breath. I hold a grudge to the death. Cut by myself. I don't need nobody help. I blaze you up like a chef. Shoot to the M. I shoot 100 like Whip. You keep a 30 like Steph. You better duck. Mask on my face like I'm Rip. Cash cover me like a quilt. I come equipped. Blue tips inside of my clip. You think my gun was a crib? Drive by, walk by, bicycle, motorcycle, killers pulling up in all kinds. 14, 15, 12 years old, young niggas slinging 99s. Young niggas stacking it proud, trapping it loud. He threw a stack in the crowd. I say they jacking my style, cracking a smile, but I ain't so cracking a while. I got a biblical past, digital dash, scale with the digital dial. Ready, really put dope in a vial. Here come and work in the towel. I put that shit on the Bible, serving my cousin out of town. They said I was devilish because I wouldn't go to revival. Gucci Mane talk of the town. I fucked up that flow, but you know what it is. It's poetry right here, baby. Now, when I touch down, I sell a brick on arrival. I had to laugh. It kept me from crying. Said it was all good, but I was lying. Amen. Preach. One of the greatest verses from one of the greatest rappers to ever come out of America, Gucci Mane LaFleur. Put some respect on his name. Gucci Mane is such a great artist that they named an entire state after him. Yes, I said it. The state of Maine is right here in the US. It's the most northeastern state in the US, borders Canada, right next to New Hampshire and Montreal up there, right? And I'm sure we've all seen the news. We've all seen the news. Unfortunately, in this beautiful state full of mountains and coastline and old waspy homes that are multi-million dollars in their value, there was another tragic American ritual that took place: the mass shooting. America loves a good old mass shooting. Is it even worth reading the news now? Is it even really worth diving into the story? Because it's really a copy and paste from something that happened 3 months ago or something a year ago. I had to laugh to keep from crying. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to laugh to keep us from crying. We said it was all good, but we know we're lying. If you live in the US, you know that this is just another day. This is another Thursday. Nothing special. 22 people can lose their lives. Tens of people can get shot, and we go about our days, and it can literally happen everywhere. Maine is literally one of the safest states in the US, and still at a bowling alley, at a party, at a club, some crazy lunatic can run up in there and take the lives away from the innocent. Let's laugh about it. Maine, town of Lewiston, is the scene of the latest U.S. mass shooting. This was published on October 26, 2023 at 5:29 p.m. So, a gunman left 18 people dead and 13 wounded after opening fire at a bar and a bowling alley in the Maine town of Lewiston, authorities said on Thursday. Below is a list of high-profile mass shootings in the United States in recent years. Monterey Park, California, January 21st, 2023. A 72-year-old gunman used a high-capacity magazine pistol in a shooting at a ballroom dance venue popular with older patrons east of downtown Los Angeles. He killed 11 people and wounded 9. Yeah, that's copy and paste. See, they can't even really delve into this story without talking about all the other stories that are similar to this. I said on my channel before, and for a long time on my channel, I tried to raise awareness about the mass shooting epidemic in the US by literally covering every single type of mass shooting that takes place every single day in the US that goes underreported, which is even more of a crime. And those videos didn't gain traction, so I let it go. Because you realize something: when you get comments from Americans giving all sorts of excuses on why having more guns in America makes us safer, why these mass shootings are normal and they should be expected, no matter what sort of evidence, no matter what sort of proof, no matter what sort of effort you put into it, people want to shoot from the nth. They want to let 100 go like Steph. You get what I'm saying? Gucci Mane is too influential. The problem really in America is that there's too much hip hop. There's too much gangster rap like Gucci Mane around. Too much gangster rap like Gucci Mane causes people to go shoot up the ballroom dance floor in East Los Angeles. Colorado Springs, November 19th and the 20th, 2022. A 22-year-old man opened fire at an LGBTQ nightclub, killing 5 people and wounding 18 before he was stopped by quote unquote heroic patrons. Okay, by the way, all the mass shootings that they're going to talk about in this news story are basically ones that get the highest profile. They're the ones that get the high profile because, it doesn't matter if like 5 people get shot outside of a bar in the hood somewhere. It only matters if it's like very, very specific and the body count has to be high, because Americans think it's normal that everywhere across the country, every Friday, every Saturday, every holiday, multiple mass shootings go down. And a mass shooting is when 4 or more people are shot. Unfortunately, people are bumping Gucci Mane too hard to actually listen to the gunshots or pay attention to the news and see that it's a problem. It's really embarrassing, man. So, Raleigh, North Carolina, October 13th, 2022. A 15-year-old shot and killed 5 people and was apprehended after a manhunt. The kids got guns, man. The kids got guns. Gucci Mane said it in a song himself, man. When he was a kid, he was walking around toting them 40s, you know, keeping the 38, whatever, man. All sorts of weapons we got in America. We got more guns than people, man. Mm, it's a shame. All right, Highland Park, Illinois, July 4th, 2022. A man perched on a rooftop during a 4th of July parade killed 7 people and wounded dozens. And that wasn't even the only mass shooting on July 4th. I covered the other ones that happened on my channel because at that time I was covering mass shootings. Uvalde, Texas, May 25th, 2022. A teenager opened fire at an elementary school in the South Texas town, killing 19 students and 2 teachers. Police from several agencies gathered outside the classroom, waited more than an hour before a U.S. Border Patrol team entered the classroom and shot the suspect dead. It's so crazy we still keep on getting school shootings like this. I thought we were all praying and keeping people in our thoughts. You know what I mean? I thought we were keeping people in our thoughts and prayers. I mean, we've been praying enough in America. Every time our kids get killed in school, we always pray about it. We always hold hands about it. We always talk about it and say we're going to do something to try to change it. I don't know. I guess we're not praying hard enough to actually keep the kids safe in the schools. Buffalo, New York, May 14th, 2022. A white gunman killed 10 black people inside a supermarket in an attack motivated by racial hatred. Ah, yes, Peyton Gentry. Yes. Oh, man, we'll never forget him. I'll never forget where I was when I found out about the Buffalo mass shooting. I was living in Ayub Sultan in Turkey. In Istanbul, Turkey. I was in Ayub Sultan, and I had just gotten off a Zoom phone call because my cousin had a birthday, and we surprised him with a Zoom call with all of his friends from all across the world. And I didn't say anything on that Zoom call because I honestly felt embarrassed that I wasn't in America because all these people in this Zoom call were. In the backgrounds, they had their beautiful houses, they had their family, their friends, they looked very rich, successful. It was very, colors of Benetton, like people from all different races and backgrounds, all smiling and grinning for this, black man just trying to make him happy. And as soon as we got off that phone call, I get a news alert on my phone saying that the Buffalo mass shooting happened. And that wasn't long after the Uvalde mass shooting happened. You get what I'm saying? So I was like, you know what? I think I'm doing just fine staying in Turkey. Because, even though I looked at all these people with their financial wealth around them, I could not live in a country where you have all the money in the world and your kids aren't even safe at school. And you're not safe even going to a grocery store. New York City, April 12th, 2022. 23 people were wounded when a 62-year-old man activated a smoke bomb and opened fire in a subway. He was taken into custody the next day. Oxford, Michigan, November 30th, 2021. 4 students were killed and 7 people were wounded when a teenager opened fire at his high school. Indianapolis, April 16th, 2021. A former FedEx employee who had been under psychiatric care shot dead 8 people and wounded several before taking his own life. All of these people, you know what I mean? All of these people who lost their lives to gun violence in America really did America a service because as many people die, we have to remember that the gun is more important than any American life. Having the right to have weapons is more important than anything. So all these people are like martyrs. Every hospital worker, every student at school, every person just, on the subway in New York, all of them are martyrs for American freedom. The freedom to have guns, the freedom to protect yourself, the freedom to tote your pistols, to buy an AR-15 or AK-47. Thank God for America freedom. Thank God for the blood of the martyrs that make America such a free place. Such a free place. What a wonderful country. A wonderful country where multiple mass shootings can happen several times throughout the year and our politicians do nothing. The society says it's normal. We need more guns in society. People continue to buy guns and nobody says anything about banning the weapons or making our societies more safe by restricting access to weapons. Not at all. Not a part of the American psyche. I love how Americans see the bigger picture. The great thing about America is we see the bigger picture. The bigger picture is it doesn't matter if every single American gets shot dead in the streets. At least we had our freedom. At least we had it. Let's go to all the other multiple great examples of American freedom at work. Los Angeles, March 31st, 2021. 4 people were killed, one of them a child, in a shooting at an office building in suburban Los Angeles before the suspect was taken into custody. Boulder, Colorado, March 22nd, 2021. A mass shooting at a supermarket killed 10 people, including a police officer. Atlanta, March 16th, 2021. 8 people, including 6 women of Asian descent, were shot dead in a string of attacks at day spas in and around Atlanta. A male suspect was arrested. Man, where's Gucci Man at? Gucci Man, Gucci, man. Roderick Davis, Roderick Davis, man. We need you to come out and spit some fire bars because the only thing Americans love are entertainers, rappers, ball players. We need all the rappers and all the ball players to come out and tell people to put the guns down, honestly. Gucci Man, how can this happen in your home state, man? How can this happen? How can this happen? We need more poetry like what you dropped on Still Remember Gucci to make Americans realize that the gun is not the way. Honestly, Gucci, come out, man. Come on. Gucci, I know you can do it. Let's get into the comments real quick. Ozzy checked in. Ozzy says, late night stream. Good to see you. Shout out to Ozzy, always tuning in. We're just chopping it up about the Lewiston shooting. And yeah, Ozzy, if you have any opinions about it, I'm just out here trying to make the best out of a bad situation, honestly, because we can talk all day about how we need gun control, how other societies like Germany, like France, like Spain, like Italy, they don't have their kids gunned down in schools like that, possibly because they restrict access to weapons and make it very hard for people to get guns. But Americans are obsessed with having more weapons. Therefore, we will continue to see more and more Americans die, children, elderly, regular civilians. We'll continue to see that happen. But we cannot convince Americans, so we might as well just laugh about it. Ha ha ha! Might as well just laugh about it. I'm out here in Budapest, Hungary, safe and sound. If something like what happened in Lewiston happened here in Budapest, they would shut the whole city down. Something like this happened in Serbia, I believe, earlier this year. There was a mass shooting in Serbia, and the Serbian people came together to give up their weapons because they saw what's more important, honestly. They saw protecting their children was more important than them having access to weapons. But still, Americans will never see that. They'll never see that. So Ozzy says, I was desensitized a while ago. What was the motive of this latest massacre? I don't know. Does anybody know? Does anybody care? Does it even matter? Does it matter if this guy was a jihadist terrorist, if he was a white supremacist, if he was a black radical extremist? Does it matter if he was just a crazy guy with a gun? Does it really matter what his motive was? Because all of those types of mass shootings have happened. We've had mass shootings happen from people who said that they were doing it for Allah. We've had mass shootings happen because people said they were doing it for Jesus. We've had mass shootings happen because the guy said he heard voices in his head. We've had mass shootings because the person hated black people, because he hated gay people, because he hated Jews. We've had mass shootings because just somebody wanted to see how many people he could kill, like at the Las Vegas mass shooting, shooting at the crowd of people at a country music concert. We've had all those types of mass shootings, and nothing's really changed. So does it even matter? We are all desensitized to it, right? We're all so desensitized to the violence in America. Does it even matter? Does it even matter? The crazy thing is we're reading this article about a shooting where about 18 people lost their lives and 13 people are shot critically and could die later. And the article doesn't even care to write more about it. They just have to remind us about how many more times this happened. That's insane. That's insane. But Americans in general think this is normal. They think this is normal. And that's why we need the one and only Gucci Man LaFleur to tell us that it's not normal. We need them bars, Gucci. We need them bars. All right. Let's continue reading all the mass shootings. Wow. So, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, February 26, 2020, a man opened fire at the Moisten Coors Beverage Company brewing complex, killing 5 coworkers before he committed suicide. Dayton, Ohio, August 4th, 2019, a man dressed in body armor opened fire in Dayton, killing 9 people, including his sister. Police killed the shooter. El Paso, Texas, August 3rd, 2019. A man fatally shot 22 people at a Walmart store. A statement believed to have been written by the suspect called the attack a response to the Hispanic invasion of Texas. Authorities arrested the shooter. Virginia Beach, Virginia, May 31st, 2019. A disgruntled public utility employee opened fire on coworkers at a municipal building in Virginia, killing 12 people before he was fatally shot by police. And Aurora, Illinois, February 15th, 2019. A man opened fire at an Illinois factory after being fired, killing 5 workers before he was killed by police. And these are just the big ones. These are just the ones that caught all the media attention, like this one in Lewiston did. You get what I'm saying? And that's sad. That's sad because what we're going to read about later is how many mass shootings there are in the U.S. And there have been quite a lot just this year alone. Before we get into that, let's read more about who the guy was because people care about that. So, what do we know about the main shooting suspect, Robert Card? Authorities in Lewiston are investigating 2 active shooter events and have warned people to stay inside, doors locked. This was published on Thursday, October 26, 2023. By the way, Lewiston is maybe the second largest city in Maine, but a large city in Maine has about 40,000 people, which was like the population of Lewiston until this guy decided to delete like a good portion, right? Anyway, and Lewiston also has a lot of Somalis for some reason. If you look up the demographics, Somalis are just like congregating there. So there is a possibility that this guy might have done it for racially motivated reasons. But the reports are saying that he was generally a crazy person. When we see that it's a white person in the US, everybody, the thing about America is so crazy. Whenever we hear about the mass shootings, we don't say, oh, it's a tragedy or, oh, we need to do something to try to prevent this from happening again. What we say is, I hope the guy isn't black, or I hope he's not white, or I hope his identity doesn't correspond to any identity that I identify with. We care more about that. Was it a white guy? Was it a black guy? Before we find out even how many people died. You get what I'm saying? And that shows you how much America has warped our minds. America has warped our minds so much that even if you're a fan of me, even if you like me, even if you think I'm a pretty smart guy, even if you live outside of America, even if you decide that America is not the place you want to live, even if you realize there are inherent flaws in American society and culture, most Americans still think it's okay for us to have weapons. Most Americans think it's absolutely normal. It's absolutely normal for there to be more guns in America than people. Most Americans would rather fight you to keep guns in America, which will still cause the mass shootings that kill our kids in schools, which will still cause most of the hoods in America to be unsafe, which will still cause so many femicides and guys killing their whole families and stuff like that. Most Americans will fight you just to keep the gun out of pure stubbornness rather than admitting that maybe we got it wrong. Maybe we got it wrong. Maybe the European countries do it better. Maybe Canada does it better. Maybe other places like the Asian countries or places even in Africa have a better idea about public safety. America is sick in the mind because most Americans still think it's okay for us to have weapons. And you know what you do when you're talking to people who have been brainwashed, who have been so thoroughly brainwashed, it's hard even to have a discussion with them. Sometimes you just gotta throw your hands in the air, wave them like you just don't care, and play that new Gucci Man LaFleur. And just don't worry about it. We can't worry about it anymore. We can't save America. We can't save America because most Americans are too obsessed with having more guns. And that's why on this channel now, all we're going to do every time there's a mass shooting, we're just going to play some Gucci Mane songs. We're going to read some Gucci Mane poetry and try to make light out of the situation. Because I dedicated a good year of my channel's creation just documenting mass shootings. If you don't believe me, go check out the playlist on my channel where I covered every single mass shooting that happened in America uh, every single day for like a good 9 months or a year, something like that, right? And understand my arguments about it. But Americans are still so obsessed with having weapons that they will never see that this is a constant problem with the gun in itself. People love to say the gun doesn't kill people, people kill people, and we have too many crazy people out here. But America doesn't do anything about its healthcare system. Nobody's really thinking about universal healthcare, universal therapy, access to psychologists or psychiatric help. None of that is actually on the concerns of the minds of Americans, right? Whatever. Who cares? Who cares? I'm talking to 3 people in the live chat and the 40 people that will watch this later. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about this. Nobody actually cares that 18 Americans lost their lives for no reason. Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares. We're pretending like we care. Americans pretend like we care that other Americans die every single year. We literally sacrifice our children to a god called the gun. We allow our children literally to be killed in schools every single year in America. And we don't care. We don't care. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's the darkest type of joke. Like America is a dead baby joke. It's an entire dead baby joke. It's sick, man. It's absolutely sick. It's hilarious, man. Police have launched a manhunt after at least 18 people were killed in a shooting in the U.S. state of Maine. The authorities in Lewiston have released images of a man with a military style assault rifle in a bowling alley and say they are looking for armed and dangerous Robert Card. There is now an arrest warrant out for Card on 8 counts of murder, one for every person killed that has been identified so far, police say. Here's what we know. The U.S. Army has said Card 40 is a petroleum supply specialist and sergeant first class, typically a senior non commissioned officer rank in the reserve. He enlisted in December 2002. It added, saying he has no prior combat deployments. His awards include the Army Achievement Medal, Army Reserve Component Achievement Medal, Humanitarian Service Medal, National Defense Service Medal, and Army Service Ribbon, it said. So let's jump into the comments real quick. Donnie Williams gave the peace sign. So peace to Donnie Williams. Shout out to you. Yeah. America has our military industrial complex so bloated, and all it does is push out our broken men. You know, the Army used to have this campaign back in the day saying, be all you can be in the U.S. Army, saying that they're going to give you job training, they're going to help you travel and see the world, that they're going to prepare you to be a full grown man out here. And what it has done is just created generations of men who have been disillusioned with patriotism, who have become broken inside, mentally discombobulated. I lost a good friend of my life. In my life, George Anthony Way. He served a tour in Iraq and Afghanistan, came back to the U.S., and then took his own life at only 24 years old. 24 years old. That's a shame and that's a tragedy. And even though this guy, I believe they're going to say he didn't see any combat experience and he was, decommissioned with no problems. He wasn't like dishonorably discharged. He was honorably discharged. So the article will say it still has created generations of broken men and men who now have military training. And that's the crazy thing. We create our own ISIS and the war comes back to America. Look at this. This is a shame and this is America at work. This is a guy who had enough. He is done. This guy is done with all the BS. And this is a true American right here because he is exercising his Second Amendment right to own that gun and really put it to use. Because this is what Americans hold dear. They don't care about him holding it. We just care about him having it. Everybody look at this. If you're an American, you look at this right here and you say, yep, that guy should have that. If you're an American, 99.9% of Americans see a man holding a weapon like this and say, that's okay. If this were Germany, if this were France, they would say, no, sacre bleu. If this were Spain, if this were Switzerland, you know what I mean? And even though the Swiss, they all got straps, it's a different culture. They don't worship the gun like how we worship the gun. Because I'm pretty sure if there was a mass shooting like what we experience regularly in America, the Swiss would get rid of all their guns. I truly wholeheartedly believe that. And I would bet every dollar in my very meager, small, depleted bank account that that's true. But we love our freedom, right? Americans love freedom, right? It's all about freedom, right? It's all about freedom. Yes. An internal police notice said Card had been committed to a mental health facility for 2 weeks this summer. It also said Card had reported hearing voices and had threatened to carry out a shooting at the military training base in Saco, Maine. It did not provide specific details about his treatment or condition. A U.S. Army spokesman said later on Thursday, SFC Robert Card is assigned to the 3rd Battalion, 304th Infantry Regiment in Saco, Maine. While his unit supported West Point summer training in July of 2023, there are no records to indicate he instructed or participated in any training. The Army did not train SFC Card as a firearms instructor, nor did he serve in that capacity for the Army. Due to the Privacy Act and the ongoing investigation, we cannot provide further details. So, a nightmare scenario. Card's background makes the situation a nightmare scenario for police trying to prevent more killings, says Sky News U.S. correspondent Martha Kellner. I'm sure attention will turn to how Robert Card was able to maintain ownership of such a powerful weapon. He looks very clearly to be holding a military style assault rifle. And yeah, here's the state of Maine. Some people have said that if he were to disappear into like the forest of Maine, it would be hard to track him, man, because the U.S. government actually owns a lot of the land in Maine. It's sort of like how the U.S. government owns a lot of the land in like Nevada, right? This is just empty space where they do like drills and testing and where they, harvest natural resources and stuff like that. Not a lot of people live in Maine because it's very inhospitable, rocky. The climate is pretty bad. And so, yeah, it's like a dying state. And so I think that's a little bit why this tragedy is so big, because, Maine is really, full of like very old, dying white people, right? And it's a state where more people are moving out than moving in. And so when you hear about 22 people getting killed in a place that people are generally leaving from, that's like a big demographic hit. And people, consider that, a big tragedy. Ozzy said they found him by now if he was. Ozzy's hilarious. They'd have found him by now if he was black. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. And that's probably true because they probably would have found him because they would have been like, why is this black ass man in Maine? I'm telling y'all, man, Maine is super white. It's definitely, I think Maine is one of the whitest states in America. New Hampshire, Vermont, Montana, uh, Idaho, South Dakota, North Dakota. There's like a lot of super white spots in Maine. And I think even some of the white supremacists were talking about going to Maine to actually like start a whole new white colony out there and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, they would have been found his ass. But honestly, if he's really smart, man, he should just cancel himself. Honestly, because he's gonna get buried under the jail, and yeah. Anyway, what happened? Police say the shootings happened at about 7 p.m. on Wednesday at Shemengi's Bar and Grill and Spare Time Recreation, a bowling alley, which are situated about 4 miles apart. Maine's Governor Janet Mills also confirmed at least 18 people have been killed and a further 13 injured. As many as 50 people are also said to have been injured, not all of whom were shot. Some reportedly had injuries from a stampede. The owner of the bowling alley said it was packed at the time when at least 100 people, including about 20 children. One witness, who only identified himself by first name Brandon, said the first shot came from about 15 feet behind him. Out of nowhere, he just came in and there was a loud pop, he told Sky News. I was bowling, so I had my back turned to the door, and as soon as I turned, I saw it was not a balloon. He was holding a weapon. I heard the first one. It was probably about 15 feet behind me. He was close, very close. Brandon said he heard 10 shots ring out in total as he ran down the length of the bowling alley and climbed behind where the pins are kept for shelter. So what's happening now? There's a heavy police presence at the bowling alley and bar where the gunmen opened fire as officers continue to scour Maine for Card, and nearby roads have been cordoned off. All town offices will be closed today in Lewiston, a nearby town of 9,700 people, where a vehicle that was being looked for has been found. Residents in Lewiston have been ordered to stay indoors. Kellner says there will be an agonizing wait for people at a reunification center in Lewiston who are waiting for news on their loved ones. What a tragedy. But yeah, So Maine is definitely the whitest state. Ozzy just looked it up, and yeah, this is the thing. That's what makes it even harder. Like Card, his face is out there, but he could blend in with them, crack ass crackers up there, man. He could possibly find a way to slide through. He could probably even end up in like Newfoundland or something, man. He could cross over that border because that border with Canada in the U.S., especially in that section, is not very heavily policed. America only protects its borders once brown people are coming. I mean, let's keep it real. But yeah, once again, a tragedy that Americans don't really find to be a tragedy because, it's it's about the gun, man. We cannot find any fault in the gun. We only find faults in ourselves, but not the gun in itself, right? Whatever. I'm stupid. I'm stupid, right? But so are the French and the Italians and the British, right? But I'm stupid, right? Yeah. So the deadliest mass killing. So yeah, I believe this article here is another copy and paste. But damn, there have been so many mass shootings in the U.S. God damn, Shreveport, Louisiana. Yeah, he could definitely be in Canada. He could be hiding out in Canada or something. So, Rampage in Maine is the 36th mass killing this year. So, there's a difference between mass shootings and mass killings. Mass shootings are when four or more people are shot, but a mass killing, of course, is when four or more people are killed. And this is not my definition. This is the FBI's definition of mass shooting. By mass killing, we've had 36. But if we're talking about mass shootings, oh, we're definitely way past 36. So we're going to look into that. So, the shooting in Lewiston, Maine. The shooting in Lewiston, Maine, that left 18 dead was the deadliest mass killing this year, but not the first. Here's what happened in other 35 mass killings in 2023. Lewiston, Maine became the scene of America's latest mass killing Wednesday night when a man opened fire inside a bar and a bowling alley, killing at least 18 people and wounding dozens more. In the aftermath of the deadly attack, hundreds of law enforcement agents descended on the area and urged residents to find safety as a massive manhunt unfolds for a person of interest. A trained firearms instructor identified as 40-year-old Robert Card. The shooting became the deadliest mass killing this year in the United States, but it was far from the first. Before the rampage in Maine, 35 mass killings had already unfolded across the nation so far in 2023, according to a database maintained by USA Today and the Associated Press in partnership with Northeastern University. The database includes every mass killing since 2006 from all weapons in which four or more people, excluding the offender, were killed within a 24-hour time frame. The database also includes dozens of variables on each incident: offender, victim, and weapon. Hours after the carnage in Maine, another mass killing unfolded Thursday morning in Clinton, North Carolina, where five people with an ages range from 30s to 80s were fatally found shot at home. So far, this year's violence has claimed the lives of 195 people, though the death toll could change if the number of victims in Lewiston continues to rise. Thursday. With more than 2 months left in the year, the nation has witnessed the third most mass killing events in a single year since 2006, the year the database was launched. Last year, 210 people were killed in 42 mass killings. The highest death toll came in 2019 when 234 deaths were reported in 46 mass killings in the United States of America. Here's what happened in the other mass killings this year in the greatest, freest, richest, most powerful nation in the world. Cheers. Cheers to the USA. It's a great nation, guys. We live, y'all live, because I will never live in that hellhole, shithole nation again. Yup. Whoever lives in the US, you're a dummy. Straight up. I'm just telling you the truth. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I offended anybody, but if you don't see a problem in this, or if you're too, if you think having the gun is so damn important that it's worth hundreds of Americans getting killed every year for it, our children literally being target practice at school. If you think it's worth it, you're sick. We have different values, honestly. My values align with Gucci Mane the Flair, a man who never killed anybody unless the person tried to kill him first. Let's go to the other mass killings in the United States. Romeoville, Illinois, September 17th. A family of two adults and two children were found dead with gunshot wounds at their home in Romeoville, Illinois, a small village approximately 30 miles southwest of Chicago, when police were called on a wellness check. A 31-year-old man and an unidentified woman suspected in their deaths were later found dead with gunshot wounds following a police chase. So, Lake Township, Ohio, August 24th, police performing a welfare check found five people, including three children, dead in the United States of America in an apparent quadruple murder suicide. Authorities investigated the killings as a domestic dispute that turned deadly. Oklahoma City, August 16th. Police responding to a reported domestic disturbance found a family of five, including three children, all shot to death in the United States of America. Investigators later determined that a 28-year-old man likely killed his family before taking his own life. Hampton, Georgia, July 15th. A 40-year-old man wanted in a series of shootings in an Atlanta suburb that left four people dead was shot and killed by police. The victims, three men and one woman, were all in their 60s, police said. Shreveport, Louisiana, about a 2 hour drive from my home of Monroe, Louisiana. Four people were killed and seven wounded in a shooting at a 4th of July block party after several males exchanged gunfire. Suspects were not quickly identified and arrests were not immediately made. So, Philadelphia, July 3rd. A 40-year-old Philadelphia man wearing a bulletproof vest and armed with an assault rifle and a handgun was charged with killing five people. Police said the suspect was shooting at people seemingly at random on neighborhood streets before he was cornered in an alley and surrendered. In America, Green Pond, South Carolina, July 2nd. What began as a report of a house fire turned into a massive murder investigation when authorities discovered six people had died and one suffered critical injuries at the community of Greens Pond near Walterboro, around 40 miles from Charleston. A 33-year-old man was eventually charged with murder in the killings of his sister in law and 11-year-old daughter, the Associated Press reported. Kellogg, Idaho. I mean, these places are so random, places you've never heard of. But of course, you haven't heard about them because in the US, this is not top news. In other countries, this is top news. This is big, this is front page news. Five people killed, that's front page. Five people shot to death, 10 people shot to death, that's front page news in other countries. But in America, that's Thursday. That's Thursday. Who cares? Who cares? We don't care about other Americans. We don't care how many of our children die. You get what I'm saying? We don't care. Nobody cares. Kellogg, Idaho, June 18th. A 31-year-old man was arrested after authorities said he shot and killed four of his neighbors inside their home. Authorities didn't specify an exact motive for the attack, but police said the slayings came on the heels of a dispute between the victims and the suspect's family. I want to get to the comment Donnie Williams said. He said he won't get far, said at Ozzy. But why do we care if he gets far, if he gets caught now, if he gets caught tomorrow, if he dies in the woods, we never find his body? Who cares? Who cares? Because don't we all know that this will happen again? Don't we all understand that this is a part of America's culture, America's uh, background, America's tapestry? This is just a part of the society. We don't care. We don't care. So I get that, we want to find out what happened to this guy and somebody wants to shake him down and ask him, why'd you do it? Why'd you do it, buddy? But doesn't matter why he did it because it's going to happen again. We know this movie. This is like the Avengers movies, right? They just keep on making them. Doesn't matter if he gets fired. Doesn't matter if he's caught right now. Doesn't matter that anybody is saying about any of this. This is just a part of the culture. Our gun culture, the worshiping of the gun as our God, as Americans, has led to so many deaths of Americans, and we still don't care. We still don't care. We still don't care. Donnie Williams said, I agree on that. It's part of the culture. Ozzy says, nothing will change. Yeah, nothing will change because Americans think it's okay. We think this is okay, generally. People are more scared to say that maybe we should get rid of the guns. This is a radical idea. This is so crazy how Americans think. It's so radical to think that we can get rid of the guns in America. Other countries have did it, and other countries have dropped their murder rates exponentially. But we think about it and we say, oh no, that's impossible. And people are scared to say that because we know the people who love guns in America love them more than their own life. But yet and still, we're held captive by terrorists, literal terrorists, hold America's conscience and children and soul captive because they are obsessed with protecting some stupid right that was misinterpreted as a right. The Second Amendment says that we should have a well trained militia. It doesn't say anything about you need to have an AK and a 38 and all sorts of assault rifles that you shoot in your backyard with your drunk uncles and cousins. But that's how we interpret our rights. That's how Americans view freedom. We shoot our guns because to do it, just to say fuck you to the rest of the world. And we don't care how many of us die in the process. It's sad. Anyway, Sakatchee, Tennessee, June 15th. A murder suicide in an unincorporated town west of Chattanooga left 6 people dead and 1 injured. A 48-year-old man was thought to be responsible for killing himself and the others, including 3 children and his estranged wife, in a home police found ablaze, according to the Associated Press. Mesa, Arizona, May 26th. A 20-year-old suspect was arrested in connection to 5 separate shootings in the Phoenix metro area that left 4 people dead and 1 person injured. The 12-hour crime spree included 4 separate shootings in Mesa, Arizona, and one in Phoenix, police said. Tennessee. I don't think this is Nashville, Tennessee. May 23rd, officers responding to a report that an armed male was barricaded inside a home, eventually arrested an 18-year-old after a standoff. The teen was charged with murder after police said he killed his parents, sister, and brother, the Associated Press. Allen, Texas. I mean, this just goes on and 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 goddamn, we could sit here all night just reading about how Americans love hearing about other Americans dying. But you know what? That's depressing. That's depressing because we're here to celebrate the life, legacy, and the music from Gucci Mane LaFleur, America's sweetheart. America's sweetheart. We are here to celebrate the life, the legacy, the words, the wisdom of Roderick Davis. I think he's the third. He comes from a lineage. Oh God. Oh God. See, the crazy thing about America is people like Gucci Man grow up in communities filled with gun violence and the threat of death hanging over your shoulder. And yet and still Americans still succeed. Americans still prosper. Americans still find a way to how can I say this? Make the best out of a worse situation because a lot of people in America are dealt a bad hand, and yet and still we make lemonade out of lemons that they give us. You get what I'm saying? And people like Gucci Man give me some hope that Americans can find a way out of this dark time, this dark era that we're in. Because for the last 50 years, we've been plagued by gun violence. The mass shooting epidemic has only gotten worse and worse and worse. No, it didn't exist all the time in America, but it's just sort of become contagious. And of course, the more proliferation we have of guns in the streets, the more people will continue to use those weapons of war on each other. And that's not the type of society that we should try to live in. I want to see everybody shining. I want to see everybody with big Cuban link chains and yellow Lamborghinis and iced out gold grilled teeth. You get what I'm saying? Americans should be able to be what they want to be. Because I'm pretty sure one of those kids killed in the mass shooting was the next Gucci Mane. We lost another poet laureate to gun violence. We lose so many future doctors, lawyers, hell, the president that could have actually made America the shining beacon on the hill that it deserves to be and needs to be was probably killed in a mass shooting 10 years ago. The person who could have cured cancer lost their life in a mass shooting at that Buffalo supermarket. The person who could have brought world peace or at least stopped Israel and Gaza from going to war probably died at the LGBTQ club shooting, the multiple ones that have happened. I don't even know what city that they've been in. You get what I'm saying? Whatever. We don't care about our future really, but hopefully Americans will find a way to get past our obsession with the weapons, man, because nothing is more sad than looking at the mass shooting tracker. The mass shooting tracker is a sober reminder of where our country is. In the US in 2023, we have had 644 mass shootings. How many days are in a year? How many days are in a year, guys? How many days are in a year? How many hours are in a month? How many minutes are in a week? God damn, if you break it down in the statistics, it's like somebody's busting their guns and hitting multiple people at least every 12 hours in America. It's really sad. How many mass shootings since they've been tracking this down? 5,779. I'm kind of lit right now. It's 3 a.m. where I'm at, so and I've been working all day. So bear with me. But still, this is sad too, and 0 days since the last mass shooting. When we look at all the mass shootings that have happened in America, it's even more sad that a lot of them go underreported. That's the sad thing. When I was covering mass shootings every day on my channel, and all those videos are still up, you can find them in the playlist, Mass Shootings in the US. It was embarrassing and sad to see how many of the stories, horrible stories of children losing their lives, elderly people losing their lives, innocent people at parties, clubs, baseball events, sporting events, lost their lives and got shot for nothing. And when you look at the list, Clinton, North Carolina, dead, 5 people. Lewiston, of course, that's the big one everybody's talking about. But how many heard about Douglasville? 1 person died, 3 people got injured. Greensville, North Carolina, 1 person died, 3 people got injured. Durango, Colorado, 1 person dead, 3 people injured. Chicago, Illinois, 1 person dead, 3 people injured. Meridian, Mississippi, 1 person dead, 3 people injured. Alexandria, Louisiana, 4 people dead, 4 people injured, pardon. Pine Bluff, Arkansas, 1 person dead, 3 people injured. Albuquerque, New Mexico, 4 people injured. Borger, Texas, 3 people injured, 1 person dead. Fayetteville, North Carolina, 1 person dead, 3 people injured. These might be like, oh well, these are just you know, people in the hood busting their guns or people with stupid petty disputes. Okay, and people in the hood are everywhere across the world. The whole world is a ghetto. I'm living in the ghetto in Budapest right now. And I walk outside anytime. I don't have to hear gunshots ringing off in the streets. I don't have to worry about looking behind my back. I don't have to worry about the schools that I work at getting shot up. It doesn't matter, man, whether this is people who are involved in criminal activity or whether these people are innocent bystanders. In all societies, both of those things exist, but other societies don't have the epidemic of mass shootings and gun violence like we have in the US. Absolute difference. Donnie Williams says, are you familiar with Colin Noir, Simon? Oh, okay. Colin Noir is a black gun nut. He's a black gun nuts cuck who got bought out by the NRA, and he fillets the gun like a penis. Any black man who worships the American gun culture, to me, you're a cuck. You want a white man to come and put his thing up in you while you hold onto a rifle for dear life while you get your back beaten out. You're Colin Noir and all the other right wing grifters make me sick. And I can't wait till the day my channel gets big and I can go on and debate these people and roast the hell out of them. Because let's keep it real. The number one killer, this is a statistical fact. The number one killer of black children in the US is gun violence. And yes, the majority of that gun violence is done by other black people who generally are young as well, meaning they're not legal age adults. This is a statistical fact. The the number one killer of children in America is gun violence, but but of course it affects black children more because we live in a system of economic destitution for our people, and also white supremacy is everywhere, right? And so we're systemically held at a disadvantage and living in areas where gun violence plagues people, and so many of us know people who lose lives to gun violence or suffer from gun violence or are in fear of gun violence, right? Even if we talk about the problem of the police killing us, what's the number one thing the police always say about the black men that they killed? The number one thing the police say is that I thought he had a weapon. It looked like he was reaching for a weapon. In other societies, generally, people are racist, like some police are, but they don't end up killing the black men in France or in the UK or in Italy or in other Western developed nations like they do in the US. Why? Because the police at least know I might be dealing with a guy who's unruly or uncontrollable, or he's just being racist and the guy is just fucking with this black man. But he knows he probably has no justification to kill him because the odds are almost zero that that black man he is interacting with in Europe does not have a gun. You get what I'm saying? But in the US, the police, and this might be controversial because y'all might think I'm blue lives matter, all lives matter now, but the police are in reasonable fear of their life. The police in America do have some reason to be afraid because every citizen is potentially armed. So if people who really say they love police want to see the police be safe and not shot at, and they say that blue lives matter, then they should be advocating for having less guns on the street as well. And if we really care about black lives matter, if we really care about making sure the police can't shoot us, kill us, brutalize us like they've been doing for centuries in America, right? But especially as we've seen in these high profile cases over the past few years, we should be advocating for gun reduction too, for the less the decrease of the proliferation of weapons in the US streets, because we want to make sure that our people do not have any reason to be a threat or viewed as a threat, because the gun will not be there. Okay. So Ozzy says, LOL, wow, never heard of him. Yeah, guys, I'm not telling y'all who to check out. And Donnie Williams, I'd be interested to know what you think of Colin Noir. And I always find it interesting when people come on my channel with, right wing people. I don't dislike people who are conservative, but we should have some common sense conservatives in America, not people who continue to deny climate change and say that the gun makes us free, and they are absolutely silent about the number of mass shootings that go underreported in the US and how many of our children die at the altar of sacrifice to the gun god that we worship in America. I hope we have some conservatives, some Republicans, some people, even if they disagree with me, that make some, at least have some common sense to say that we need actual gun reform. We need to make it harder to for people to get guns. But Donnie Williams said, I always thought he was sus. Why him they picked? Exactly, man. You know, the right is always looking for black people to spit out their talking points and propagate their message. And yeah, I don't buy into any of that. And listen, guys, I'm just one man by myself. Nobody gives me money to talk about any specific things. Every single topic I talk about on my channel, I'm actually passionate about. And I genuinely believe this. America could be the literal greatest nation in the world if we at least got rid of the guns. But Americans don't think creatively enough about that. They don't think creatively enough, and we're too obsessed with just keeping the status quo, if that makes sense. You get what I'm saying? I hope I'm absolutely clear. I hope I'm absolutely clear about that. But and also, the number one reason I will never live in America is because of their gun laws. Y'all might think it's because of white supremacy or racism, which is actually a big deal in America. But there's racism and white supremacy and anti-blackness all across the world. Everywhere I've traveled, I've seen it. But at least I won't die from it, possibly like I could in the US, right? At least in the US, we know that we are always walking with our head on a swivel, especially if you come from a place like where I come from, Louisiana, the murder happy, where niggas are murder happy. And I just can't imagine being in that situation. And my prayers go to anybody who continues to live in America, but I don't understand how we can continue to live with that threat over our heads. And there has to be some sort of change in the mentality of Americans. Americans need to stop being so closed minded, narrow minded, and defeatist. We're the country that put people on the moon. Yeah, I said it. We went to the moon. We're the country that fought World War II and beat the Nazis. Even if we were Nazis, we still did some good by default, right? We're the country that invented the internet. We're the country that popularized the greatest American art form, hip hop. We created jazz, rock and roll, the blues. America is actually a very innovative, great place. And I love the American ideals. The American ideals I truly love. I'm not a patriot in the sense that I love my country, but I love the possibility of what America could be if we really did imagine a different place. But too many Americans are obsessed with the status quo and the boxes that they tell us to stay in when it comes to viewing what freedom means. Unfortunately, there are certain freedoms that 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 we have abused. Just to be honest, if you remember when you were a child, when you and your brother, your sister, whatever, started fighting over the remote control or the video game controller, she took that shit and said, y'all don't know what to do with it, so nobody can have it. Americans have proven themselves to be immature, childlike, and irresponsible with mass gun ownership. We tried the experiment, it didn't work. Somebody has to come in and say, y'all are irresponsible, y'all can't have this anymore. I don't care if y'all think I'm a radical lefty or if I'm some crazy lunatic communist, because guess what I am? Guess what I am? I actually want to see a safe world. I would rather be ridiculed for thinking that our children can go to school without bulletproof backpacks than people thinking Simon is right because I'm up here talking about Americans need to have more guns. Or if I was here talking about this is a psyop, man, this is a trick that the Democrats are trying to pull to take away your weapons and go to the gun store right now, which I'm sure every single other right wing crazy conservative on YouTube is talking about right now. They're saying that this isn't real. We don't see the video of the guy walking into the place. I mean, we need to see the video of the carnage of the massacre. How do we know this is real? That's what every other crazy person on YouTube is talking about and on social media. And the left is even worse. The online left, all they do is talk about how Americans need to have sensible gun control. We still believe in the Second Amendment, but we should have sensible gun control. Okay, sensible gun control. What? Every American has the right to have a gun, but unless you do something very specifically before you get your gun, you're gonna not be able to get it. Okay, this guy Robert Card had a clean record, good Samaritan, had no criminal record at all, and he got his hand on a weapon and took 22 lives. There's no way to prevent the next mass shooting, and we know it's going to happen again, and Americans don't care. That's generally what I want to say. I have nothing else to add on to it other than listen to Gucci Mane. Listen to Gucci Mane. Gucci Mane will show us the way on how to succeed in a world that's so dark and so cold. I got nothing else for you guys. Anybody else want to leave a comment, chop it up with me? I'm about to log off. It's about 3 a.m. here. Thanks for watching this video. If you're watching now or on the playback, I'll be back with more live streams, more content. Try to do this consistently all the time. Subscribe to my other channel, Backpack Bandits. Check out the videos in my past catalog. Subscribe to Culturalist Theory. Go watch the videos I write for them. Peace.